There's a lot of hype coming into this season for Platinum.
5 red lights with the German Grand Prix.
Forecasted to begin the raining until about 20 minutes.
It was hectic. It was chaos.
My dark horse is in the gravel. My kitten's in the litter.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's edition of the Litter Box Podcast. I'm coming to you live from my mom's basement in sunny, tropical Southern Illinois. I'm joined, as always, by Sea Freeze. What's going on?
Yo, what's going on, everyone?
We got Fatal, and we have the Dominican's finest, Lopez, joining this week as the guest. ¿Cómo estás?
Doing good right now. Here at home. They calmed. I just did a racer.
Well, we were at Silverstone over the week. Both Platinum and Golden were pretty decent races, I would say. And Platinum class, Freeze, where'd you finish?
None of your business. It wasn't a good one at that. But we try out here. But yeah, it wasn't my best one.
Yeah, it was.
I think 12th or something. But
13th.
It was kind of funny you said that because the last week I was so excited for my P6 at Austria, moving from 16th to 6th. And after the party, we all going, or after the race, we all going to party. And you could just see how excited I was. And then for this week, you pointed it out, Kitten, that after the race, I go in the party, I'm like silent. I'm not saying a word. And you pointed it out, and it made me laugh because it's true. Because one week you could have a really good race, and then next week you could have a really bad race. And that's kind of what I had. But, it happens. But Sean won his second race of the season.
That's correct.
And first one since the first race, which that was race 6. So he's getting a little momentum back towards his championship.
Yeah, Xanamar finished in his best spot of the season in P2. And Gijo Breezy retook the old championship lead from Go-To Guy. Go-To Guy actually had the worst race I can remember him having down in P10. So he actually got jumped by Sean too. He's all the way down in P3 now.
Yeah, I mean, going to Britain, it's more of a wheel track. Although there's some controller guys up there. And Go-To had some. He really had nowhere to go in that first lap.
Yeah.
And he just got some wing damage, and then he put those hards on and just was out there. Although he actually did get 1 point after Roll's penalty, so he did get 10th.
Yeah, both of those alphas were involved in a bit of an incident on the third corner, I think. Yeah, turn 3, and looks like Starboy wound up finishing 9th, so he actually wound up getting the better of Go-To. I believe they stacked up in the pits. Both had wing damage.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't the best races for them, but who had second? I think Xander.
Yeah, Xander finished
Xander
P2.
had a really nice race in P2. First, was it the first podium for him, I believe?
Yeah, this year.
Which last season, I believe he had multiple podiums. And this year, just got his first. So you could just see the competition from last year where he was getting podiums left and right with Go-To. And then you go to this week, this season, and, he just got the first one, which good for him. But yeah, it's a completely different grid this year. I mean,
yeah, and I mean he did make that switch to the Fanatec, so I mean it took a little bit of adjusting too for him. after using a controller for.
Yeah, no, you definitely want the wheel. And then third place was then Breezy. So there's your first, second, third. Breezy had a decent race, gathering those points. He is still the leader, just by 2 points.
He did jump. I mean, Goto was P1 heading into the race.
Oh, was he? Oh,
Yeah.
all right. So
Yeah,
Breezy
Goto
now
jumped
up.
him last week, and now Goto got jumped by both Breezy and Sean.
Oh yeah,
So,
yeah, he got jumped by both. But
so
yeah, it was a good race. I think it's still a championship battle between all three of them, and not too far behind is Talon and Psycho. So you never know what can happen with, I think, 9 races left. So that's something.
it's true.
We have Fatal and Lopez with us. What did you guys watch the platinum race? What anything thoughts you wanted to point out?
Lopez was blowing up the comment section.
There you go.
Yeah, I was just rooting for Cycle Sane. Um, as you guys, some of you guys know, I used to race in Platinum. I know some of the guys there. So overall, my pick was for Cycle Sane to win, but Sean is just a really strong wheel user. He's really fast. He's always been fast. So I believed he was gonna take the win. At the end, I believed Psycho was gonna get a podium, but they still didn't manage one. But it was a really intense race. It lived up to the excitement that Golden had left behind.
Yeah, we had a couple of. Did it rain at all in platinum?
No.
No.
Okay, was it just
And
golden? Okay.
Fatal, what about you? Anything from you?
Nah, it's just a little bit surprising of Goto and his incident in the first lap because I felt he had the pace to challenge for a win.
So you think he would have been able to win with those other wheel guys?
Or maybe not win, but at least challenge for a podium.
Oh, for sure.
I know, he has great pace. So
You have a late addition to the podcast. Xandermar is in the house. What's going on, Xandermar? We were actually just talking about your first podium this season.
Oh, really? No, not much.
We were like, wow, surprise of the race, Xandermar on the podium.
Yeah, it's amazing what happens when you don't crash out.
Well, if you want to do some predictions for next week, we got Singapore, so that's always a fun one. I mean, really anything can happen. I think if I had to pick a winner, I would definitely say Sean, since he technically won on track last year at
That
Singapore.
ain't gonna happen. Not gonna happen. Definitely not for Sean. I mean, last year he probably had the worst race I've ever seen anybody have, where he gets disqualified for not using the right compounds. I mean, this guy's going for a second championship.
It's a tricky situation.
He should have that figured out.
Yeah, and if memory serves me correctly, he almost lost. He spun on the first lap, I think, and he wound up. Where was he? I think he was like P12, and he came all the way back to P1 in the wet, passing cars at Singapore. Not easy. So
yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, maybe. I think it's gonna be either Breezy or Talon. Talon won last year, and he wins on the street circuits, so he's good at those. So I'm gonna go with Talon for the win. Breezy second, and we're gonna have a surprise on the podium. Well, not even surprise. We'll put Roll. I'm gonna put Roll on the podium.
Yikes!
What do you guys think of as far as predictions here?
it's a hard one because I don't really know everybody's pace around Singapore.
I'll let you know by how much I practice first.
I think you're not putting Goto guy in the right place.
All right. So where do you think he'll finish?
Definitely third. I don't think he has the. I don't think he will have the pace to be second or first. You still have Joe Breezy and Sean, so might be difficult.
All right, that's a fair prediction. Well, I think that's about does it for platinum. Right.
Yeah, I think we covered pretty much everything.
All right, so let's move on to golden here. Last week was a crazy race, and I was happy that I was able to commentate that one. It was a really nice race, very shocking on a lot of behalfs, and I have a lot to say about this one. So, firstly, Mitch won, 4 for 4, but not in the way you would think he would win. The other three performances were very dominant, won by a lot. He really did have the speed. And then go to, last week in Britain, he definitely didn't have the best speed, but due to other people's unfortunate causes, I don't know who, um, just enabled him to get the win. He was right in the right spot at the right time. But we had the battle between three drivers towards the end, which was Lopez, who was in P1 at that time. We had Fatal in second and Giggle in third, and it looked as if they were going to have a three-way scrap for the win. And Giggle went into the pits because he thought he had to serve his stop-go penalty, but you don't. So that's a rookie mistake for him, and that took him out of the equation. And then it was Lopez and Fatal. And boy, before we get to the end of what happened, obviously we know you guys didn't win. You guys did put on a show of how you guys were overtaking, like, man, side by side through almost a whole part of the track, and then you coming back. I mean, talk us through, I guess, the good moment before it all turned bad. I mean, that was really good racing. Fatal? What do you think?
Yeah,
How was the racing?
it was good. I mean, I really enjoyed the battle with Lopez. It's probably my most exciting battle since I've been part of the league. I say I got a little overconfident on that first corner. I was worrying about Mitch coming up on us, so I was just trying to make the pass and trying to distance myself from Lopez and Mitch, because the battle between me and Lopez let Mitch, make up 6 seconds on us last 5 laps of the race.
Yeah, it was something like that.
So yeah, I mean,
I
Seems
remember.
like you're a little, you're still heartbroken. I mean, that's how it is. You
right.
know, that's how it is.
I was angry, but I got over it an hour later.
Yeah.
I don't put no fault on Lopez.
It was a
So you
racing
think that's
incident.
your fault?
I made the move just because I was just trying to get away from Mitch.
So so you say it's not his fault, but are you putting the blame on yourself?
I think there was no blame put around. It was a racing
yeah,
incident.
yeah.
I mean, like sometimes you just can't read the other driver good enough to know exactly what they're gonna do. That was one of my mistakes. I think he wanted to give me the outside because he did go a little bit slow on the inside. I did see space on the outside, but I believed he was gonna take the corner completely. That's why I ended up running into him, even though I wasn't on the gas. But I believe also it was a racing incident. I do feel bad. I know I could have done a lot better, but it just happened too fast.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
I was trying to avoid going wide because I was on my second warning, and I didn't want to risk taking a third warning to get a 3-second penalty because I didn't know who had a penalty at that time.
Well, right.
I
That's
believe you had
something
a
I wanted to
5 sec.
bring up because during the race, obviously you don't know,
Right.
but if you and I don't know if you are aware of this, but if you would have just stayed behind Lopez, you would have won based off of penalties, I believe.
Well,
Right.
the thing is, when I was rewatching the stream, he had a 5 second for spinning on the pit, which I didn't. I only had a 3 second for cutting the corners. So if I would have stayed ahead, I would have won with like 2 seconds gap, no matter how close he would have been. So him going for the could have given him the race win if he would have gotten this
No, the 2 second gap. Oh, all right.
2 second gap,
Yeah, I wasn't aware
which
of
would have
that.
been
The
impossible. It would have been
spinning one on
impossible. Yeah.
Fatal's part. Although a lot of
Did that
people
stick? Did
went
that
in the
stick during the
pits
race?
quick.
My 5 second.
I thought you served the 5 second in the whenever you like on that pit stop.
No, I never did. The
you
only
did.
reason I got that penalty was because I was Jones reared me in the back, which I was in the green
Well,
about to cross the line, and then when Jones hit me, that's what made me speed into the pit lane.
Oh man, we're gonna have a talk here with our production guy after the podcast.
I was
All right,
expecting
well,
I was expecting a little more fireworks between you two.
yeah,
Definitely.
honestly, I mean, will this impact you guys going forward, or are you guys cool and you're just gonna race it out next week for Singapore?
On my
Um,
side, I know I'm cool. I know I
Yeah.
can keep good side by side with him. I'll be able to understand him more the more we race. Definitely for our first race at that pace, for us to be that clean for that little bit that we did, it's hard. Not everybody can do overtakes in Britain, but being side by side, it's more difficult than just going for the overtake.
Yep.
Yeah,
All right.
I don't hold any grudges, so
That's good.
Lopez,
Yeah, you really
Lopez is
should.
so cool. Man.
Well, we did have I guess the top three that were going to finish on the podium, in all likelihood, all basically threw away the races one way or another. At the very tail, like maybe the last 5 laps. So that was insane. Lopez, you did finish on the podium
Yeah.
in P3. Jones was probably, aside from Mitch, the luckiest party out of that because he was in
He
P5 most of
was.
the day. He finished P2.
He did
As
an
we-
overtake on the last lap. I remember I saw his name come up, and I was a little scared because I knew that Jones with his wheel had a little bit more pace through certain corners, and he was able to manage the gap to me, get close enough, and take away second place.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I doubt anyone ever rewatches, like
The races.
my live stream of the race. But
I do.
Nobody's
I
looking at
was
your
I
point
was
of
I
view.
was I was in a party. I was in a party with Guillermo, and whenever that happened, I was he already retired, and like he's like, oh no, and I'm like, wow, what happened to Fatal? And then I had no idea what happened until after the race, and then I saw Giggle Pit for no reason. I'm like,
Yeah, I mean that
those are the
at
three guys.
everyone.
No
I'm sorry, Giggle, but I don't know. That's a huge mistake, and I mean, probably worse than you two crashing. I mean, he would have had the win. It was gifted to him, and he just decided to go in to serve his penalty, which, I mean, it's not his first season with us. So I thought, he might have been able to, he might have had a stop go from last year that, and
Yeah,
maybe
stop
he's
goes
been
are
doing
pretty
this
common.
all along. You never know.
You get
I was
stop
just
goes for
very
pretty much everything.
a lot of mistakes last race, a lot of speeding in the pit lane, and you know
Yeah,
now
there were
that
4 or 5 of them
is
on the
no,
first.
there was like 8 or 9 or almost half the grid in Golden had
Okay.
stop go. And I was just amazed of how many mistakes there are, and I think that's the big difference between Golden and Platinum. Golden, there was so many mistakes, I was really shocked. And then when you go to Platinum, it's the speed. It obviously is the big part, but it's also how many mistakes you make. Very, obviously you'll have a couple here and there, but man, 8 people getting stop go penalties is a lot. And if you did not get that, you could bump up, a couple positions if they're all in a line. But
I believe a lot
let's
of
move
people thought
on
they could
to
make time on the pit stop. That's all I want to say.
yeah. Let's move on to predictions for Golden next week. Will anybody beat Mitch?
I will.
Me too.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty confident around Singapore
Not only I
myself.
thought they'd be teaming, against each other, but now they're gonna team up to beat Mitch. That just fired them up for next week. All
It's
right.
not really a team up to beat them. It's just a team up. Not even a team up. It's just everybody's trying to beat everybody at this moment.
There you go.
There's a lot of people with pace. There's about, I want to say, 4 drivers in the top right now that I need to be worried about. So me being the new guy, you just gotta try to keep up and learn how to race against some people in the lobby.
Yeah. No, totally agree. Ken, any predictions? What do you think? Who's on the podium?
You know what? I'll give it to Lopez. Then I'll probably say Fatal, and then I'll save myself.
Okay.
I would. Hey! You know what?
No, nothing. I'm not that one.
I went from P14 to P1 on my first stint.
You're fine.
First stint last year.
Yeah, but that was last year. No, I had a cough. That's all right. I think I'm gonna put my boy D Crime, Darkest Crime for the win. He likes Singapore. I'm gonna put him up there. And second, we'll put Lopez, and third, Mitch. That's what I'm going with.
The guys are putting a lot of faith in the new boy.
Fair enough.
Well, you got to get practicing. All right. So now we have a little bit time left. We are going to move on since the F1 Formula One season is starting up next week in Melbourne. We're going to talk a little prediction as to how the season will go. Not only the season, but more so Australia, because we'll be here all night if we want to get into all this. But who do you think will be, I guess, podium? Who, just predictions wise, who do you think is going to win?
It's kind of hard to predict what the actual pace is going to be. I mean, I guess it's usually a Ferrari track.
I mean, they did win the last 2 races, the last 2 years.
Yeah, so you know
maybe
what?
not on pure speed, but
I'm gonna go with Leclerc on debut.
Okay.
Then I'm gonna go with Hamilton, and then I'm gonna go with Verstappen.
Weird. That's if that is the podium. I don't know. What I'll do.
Maybe I should put some money on that. I don't know.
I don't know.
Those.
You might want to. Just waste it all. I'd say that Ferrari. I don't know. I think Ferrari has the upper hand, but then I don't know. Then because you really can't look all into testing. But the last 2 years, Ferrari has won, or Vettel, based off of just like strategy and not purely speed. Like I don't think he got the pole for both races. I'm not too sure.
He got second place, I think, 2017 and back to back.
Yeah, because then they had the VSC, which screwed Hamilton, as well as the pit stop phase for whatever the 2 years were. So I think this year they do have the pace advantage, and I think Vettel will go out at least start in the front row, and I think he'll do quite well at Australia. Like last 2 years, I think he'll start well, and then it goes away.
Well, hopefully he starts from last place in the first half, so he can win the championship.
Yeah, there you go.
Reverse.
But, I say Vettel will win. Although I still wouldn't count Hamilton out. I don't know where their speed is at as far as Mercedes, but they're obviously very close to Ferrari, if not better. And Hamilton always starts off strong and continues that. So
there is a trend
second.
Past 2 seasons where Mercedes usually starts off on the back foot, and then just because Hamilton's a better driver than Vettel, he ends up catching him at the end.
Well, when you think about it, the Mercedes is a little bit lacking on grip and downforce, but the overall power, Lewis Hamilton's expertise in qualifying lap is just really putting him way up there, probably above Ferrari at the moment.
Yeah, just by himself.
What about it? I mean, what do you? How do you see like the other guys who you're not really thinking about, like Bottas or even Gasly or Verstappen, or will Renault get in the mix? Like, I think that's more of a far fetch, but like you never know. Bottas had some bad years, but hey, I think he still can.
I mean, he's a
it up,
perfectly fine number 2 driver.
So, do you think right out of the gate they'll have Bottas already be second to Hamilton, or like?
Yeah.
They're gonna have James call him up.
Because if it's his probably
You
last
want to
season
stand out, right?
with them. So I don't know. I think he has to prove something.
No, I think it's pretty much a
He has to
foregone
prove
conclusion.
he's still.
I think he's good enough to be in F1, but he's definitely not going to be at Mercedes next year. I think that's pretty much going to be Ocon.
Yeah, I think that's
for sure.
pretty clear.
Mm.
I think Mercedes is focused more on getting Hamilton his 7th championship to tie Schumacher.
6 at the moment.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the team that I'm most intrigued by is Alpha, just because I mean, Alpha had a ton of pace in preseason testing, and they came out with like a radical front wing design that no one else has, and it looks like they kind of caught a silver bullet here. And I mean, who knows? I don't really know where Giovinazzi's going to be, but I mean, Kimi kind of ended the season on a high. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, there's always a chance for pretty big, a lot of the contenders to crash out in the first corners.
I know this probably won't happen, but I think it'd be really, really cool if Sauber is now the better team than Ferrari and Leclerc made a bad move, and Kimi kind of wants to get out of Ferrari, and if he went to Sauber, that's actually better, and they'd be winning.
And then they just
funny.
completely replace the technical department, and they just move Sauber into Ferrari. And
Remember, that'd be pretty cool. Although I think
Sauber is no longer Sauber, by the way.
Yeah,
it's Alfa Romeo Racing.
Alfa Romeo.
I mean, it's still Sauber to me.
It is still
Sauber.
Sauber Alfa Romeo, but they just left the Alfa Romeo name. I think before the Sauber name.
Yeah. No, I mean they just completely took Sauber out.
They're
still at the Sauber facility.
In fact, yeah.
Rebranding, but I don't know. I think of multiple teams, or I think Renault. I like to see what Ricciardo does. And how they will take the push to Red Bull. Like I want to see where the third team is, because Red Bull, if their engine is good and they can compete, then I think that's all they need really. I think everything else they have is there. But if they do lack it, then that brings Renault into the mix.
I think what Renault had to make up about. I mean, and I guess they pretty much gave up on the season like halfway through. But I mean, towards the end, they were down close to 100 horsepower on Mercedes and Ferrari. I think Honda had even bested them.
Yeah. Well, now they are. Well, they are Honda. Although now with Renault, I don't know. It's going to be interesting because I think when Renault was supplying, Red Bull, they had their Renault engine. I think now with them gone, I know it did help them, but I think it's going to help them that they're not there, because now they are the lead, team with Renault. So I don't know.
Well, they've been the lead team with Renault since Renault came back in the sport.
Well, yeah, but I mean, as far as performance-wise, they really haven't, But
yeah, it takes some time. I don't think they're going to really compete for podiums until the engine regs change in 2021. I think it's more like a long play from Ricciardo to go to a factory team,
which is smart.
Where he's probably going to be where he's probably going to be the number one driver. Although I do think that lineup is fascinating.
Where did you guys put Haas and Renault for the first race?
Haas is going to double DNF again, probably.
I don't know. I think they're not as strong as last year, but I think they were, I think they were focusing more on, the technical stuff and tests and all. But I think they still do have the pace, but it's going to be so close. And then you could, is it Racing Point now? How they will do, and McLaren. It's just going to be really tight. It's going to be, whatever track best suits that car for that week is going to be the one out of the midfield that prevails.
True.
I would anticipate field was last year in comparison to usual, and I think it's probably going to be even better this season.
Oh yeah,
because I mean, if I see like the biggest loser, I do think that's going to be Haas, just because most of the Ferrari technical input that they were getting is now completely shifted to. I mean, Alpha's kind of supplanted them as the Ferrari B team.
Yeah. I don't know. It's gonna be tough, but I think one Haas car will score, but I think Renault will have a good outing. But hope I don't know. It's gonna be. I just can't wait. I think once we get past this first race, we'll know a lot more for the upcoming. I think we just are all ready to start this season, and I don't know. We're just putting out crazy predictions that we want to happen, but they ain't gonna happen. It's gonna be the same damn thing. But that's how it works. But
yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah, I would give the edge over. I'd give the edge to Renault over Haas. Just for
I
having
believe that
Ricardo.
might be. I believe Renault will be a pretty strong team. They might be able to race against Racing Point because Racing Point has the fourth best team for a long time now. So they're the team to beat. Obviously, they're the only ones getting real podiums out there, and it's mainly Mercedes power units that are winning on the midfield, getting podiums or pretty good finishes. Sadly, Williams was not part of it last year, but I believe that the Renault power units are gonna be on par with Hondas.
Yeah, I think it'll be kind of even. I think the Renault and Honda will be more even, and then the Mercedes and Ferrari would be more even. Those two.
Yeah,
and I think the Renault and the Honda teams will do better at, like a track like Hungary, or not a big track where you need the engine, and then the other way around for the Ferrari
I
and the
believe
Mercedes
Renault
teams.
will have a upper hand at Mexico because the Renault engines are really good at giving yourself some mechanical grip.
Yeah, no, definitely. They do pretty well at Mexico.
well, since we're mentioning it, how about before we get out of here, give me maybe like your top 5 constructors, like overall, just so we can look back on it and
see how we're all wrong.
Yeah, and see how way off we were.
All right, who would like to start?
I'll start it.
There you go.
I'm gonna pick Mercedes number 1. They always seem to just make up any losses they have during the beginning. And I'll go with Ferrari second, Red Bull third, and Renault fourth. And I'll give Racing Point fifth.
Sounds
good.
I would be pretty much in lockstep with that. Would I put?
Is that top 5, right?
I'm gonna put Alpha 4th and Renault 5th. And maybe McLaren 6th.
Well, we said top 5, so now you're changing the rules.
No, I just want to give McLaren a shout out.
What is this nonsense?
And Williams.
Right, I agree. I agree. Mercedes, Ferrari, Red Bull. I'm gonna put Racing Point 4th. Although then again, now they look at the driver lineup. Yeah, I was just gonna say now with the driver, I'll put Renault 4th. So same as Fatal's predictions, I believe, because I think that's the way to go.
Okay, me, I'm gonna say it's gonna be a real choice between first, second, third, first, second, fourth, and fifth, because third is gonna have to go to Red Bull. They have the race pace. They don't have the power for qualifying. So eventually, they're gonna have their wins probably more than last year. Depending on their engine pace, depends on how the season is gonna look, obviously. But I have them third. I believe this is gonna be Ferrari season. Kimi Raikkonen is a really fast guy, a lot of respect, but I think Leclerc is gonna better every single one of his performances. It's up to Vettel for any mistakes that he makes again. That's gonna really bring down Ferrari again. But I think Ferrari, Mercedes, Red Bull. I want to put Haas and then Reynolds. I don't think Force India's Racing Point is gonna be that good this year. Uh, I believe they use a package that's more for top speed. So I believe they're gonna be more sleek and not a high rake.
Those are some good predictions. All right. I can see where you're coming from on those. All right. I'll might have to change my thing. And by the way, if you are in TCR and you wanted to get into their fantasy for F1, the stuff is in the Discord, but we have about 20 drivers in there. But yeah, I think that sums it up for this week's podcast. This Wednesday will be Singapore, and Thursday will be Singapore. Wednesday is the golden class, and Thursday is the platinum class, starting around 8:30 p.m. Eastern. And then after that, in 1 week's time, we'll have the podcast review all that. And we have a huge announcement for next week's podcast. So hopefully everyone can tune in for that. But yeah, I think that's about does it. Thanks everyone for watching today. If you are new, please subscribe, like, and share would be greatly appreciated. And we'll, I guess, see you this Wednesday for the Golden Class in Singapore.
Adios.
Good night.
Yep.